You've waited a lifetime to look better and feel better, and now here's your chance. Fitness Friday on WNDB. Call 239-0033 and have your questions answered on health, fitness, and a better life. Fitness Friday is brought to you by Bodez by Tasso and Company, 1140 West Granada Boulevard in Ormond Beach. And now, here's your host, Tasso Kyriakis.
Welcome to Fitness Friday. There's the official start. Ho, 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 we're on.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh. So we owe, so off to work we go. How about that one?
There you go, Tasso.
There we go.
Fitness Friday brought to you by Bodez by Tasso.
Well, you know, it's
For
like,
150 years you've been in the area.
golly, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Boy, it's lucky I don't need my internet connection today for the show.
It's working for me.
It says
You're
I'm
not doing
connected, but
something right.
it's not show. It says try again, and it has problem loading the page.
Okay.
I don't know. So listen, I've been talking so much. I have someone calling us today that is sort of a blast from the past, and she was with us. Back in about 2004.
No kidding. 10 years ago.
Right. And when she calls, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. But I want to talk a little bit about, I got to do a little promotional stuff right now because we have a great promotion going on at Bodez. That promotion is this. $14 begins your membership. $14, you pay a $20 card fee.
Mm-hmm.
For $34, you can get started on your fitness journey. Now, you'll choose the membership you want, either the Body Coach or the Body Express. So Body Coach is the supervised program. It's our most popular membership. And the Body Coach program is a supervised exercise program where there's always someone there. I know many of you out there have been to fitness centers before. And so you go to these fitness centers and they'll show you the machines and then you're pretty much on your own. Mm-hmm. And what do you rely on? You rely on what fitness magazine you read that day that told you something to do, where we've seen the trends like walking backwards on treadmills and Stairmasters, okay?
Today's show might do some feature on some weird way to work out.
And we go, and know, quite frankly, there's an awful lot of misinformation that exists out there when it comes to fitness. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that everything out there is wrong, but I'm saying there's so much stuff. And then you get this plethora of stuff that is just thrown together trying to pick the best of this one and the best of that one, and it just doesn't work. So, there's a lot of confusion on how to start a program and progress. So let me tell you about what you receive when you get involved in a Bodez program. The first thing that occurs is that we sit and we talk about what your personal goals are, and then we begin to start you with a very basic program where you do 6 exercises. This allows you to start at a slow pace and not just walk in and say, I want to just get going and bust it out as hard as I can and be sore and stuff like that. Now, some people out there want to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a smart way to start. I think you have to create victories. Just like a woman going on a weight loss program. She wants to see weight loss to motivate her. When you start an exercise program, you want to feel like you're accomplishing something that you, and not actually getting beaten up and get. So it's like that joke that you see on the first day of Christmas. My wife brought me a fitness membership and I went and I met the trainer and then she was really good looking and she made me work. The second day I was really sore. I could hardly move, but I wanted to go see her. And then, by the 12th day, she's hunting me down and I don't know what's going on. And she's, that kind of thing. We don't want that type of occurrence to occur. So what we do in our Body Coach program is we start you with 6 core basic machines and add based on your medical history or your goals. That also tells us how fast we'll add machines. And we go through our Smart Start program. Now in our Body Coach membership, which is the $14 promotion, you have the first 3 visits, there's someone with you. At the 12th visit, there's an evaluation. When you complete that 12th workout, then we begin a program that is a one-time per month one-on-one program.
Okay.
So you go in and we use our Body by Science technology and we take you through. So think of the support you have to make sure you're exercising right and getting some answers. At the end of the card, you have an evaluation, which after the first 12 occurs every 24 workouts. Right. And then you have, after that first 12, you have one time per month, you have a one-on-one you go see. So you actually have a trainer right with you during the workout on the 5 machines we go with you on. The second thing you receive on this membership is free guest privileges. In other words, Dave, you can come with me as a Body Coach member. You can come with me, and you can work out on our Bodez Express area, which is a typical gym setting. It's the machines are nice, the machines are there. There's a traditional cardio. The Body Coach membership also includes our Body by Science technology on the SciFit equipment. Okay. And the reason for that is we want that little bit of burst training to exist in everybody's program for high caloric yield, for safety on the joints, and for a game plan that is going to maximize their fat loss potential. Now remember, I said fat loss, not weight loss. It does maximize weight loss when you put it with a proper eating program. So then we also have a massage chair that gives you 15-minute massages like you see out at the mall.
Yeah, cool.
You get 2 of those a month in the Body Coach membership. All this in your first month is a $14 investment. After that, you choose your program that you want and go through there. You can even choose to go into the Bodez Express membership if you so desire, which is the one where all the machines are there. We show them to you one time, and then you're off and running. So that's a great promotion that we have going. Now, the flagship program that we have is our one-on-one program. And that's where we focus you into the results. And that's where we work from the standpoint of how this history started. For those of you that don't know about how Bodez and a short, brief history of Bodez, here's a quick overview. Okay. In 1979, I got involved in the fitness industry. I was in a fitness center called Omega 40, which basically was a racquetball club at the time when we opened it in 1979. Over those first years, we began to add novice equipment for a fitness membership. Soon, a discovery I made in about 1982 was, it's very easy to get everybody into fitness, but playing sports like racquetball or handball or volleyball on a racquetball court, which was called volleyball, those things take some skill. And everybody didn't have those skills and wasn't comfortable with their level of skill all the time. Mm-hmm. Now, the guys that were athletes and stuff like that, they came by it pretty easy, and they were used to it. But in our case, we looked at the general population because the market I've always wanted to work with are the people that really want to be focused on getting results and do it in a wise way. They don't want to do it in a way that says, I'm going to go read Muscle Development Magazine. I'm going to take the bigger chest and bigger shoulders in 6 weeks program and put that to work. They want a program that's put together because there's 4 reasons people fail in health clubs. No one cares about them. They get hurt because they keep trying all these different things that they get informed on. And then they don't have results because they don't have a success system. And the final thing is they get bored with their program because they don't have variety. So we've tried to build that into it. Now, when we say variety, it's not that we have a million different things going on. It's we have a philosophy that allows for flexibility within it. And then we build the program around what their goals are and as they progress. And there'll be some very exciting things that we bring forward in the year 2014. We are applying to become a facility that will offer group exercise once again. Mm-hmm. And it's a really unique way. We'll talk more about it in the future as we get going on the project. So it'll be really neat. We'll let people know about it. But the bottom line is we will probably by March or April have a group exercise program that is probably one of the most unique offerings that I think we've ever seen. And, we want to do that because we want to offer the broadest range of opportunity to people to be successful. But by the same token, we absolutely know what works. We know the core of any program. There's 3 pillars to a successful program. The 3 pillars are, number 1 is that you eat healthy food. You eat good food, okay? And you have a pattern of eating that supports a healthy lifestyle. The second thing is, now that doesn't mean you change your dietary habits right away to eating exactly the right way. It means that each week you begin to change going in the right direction. It may take you a year to get totally converted over. But as long as each week you measure yourself and say, I want to go a little bit better every week. Each week's a little better. Second thing is we pay attention to muscle. Without lean body tissue, without muscle, our metabolic rates drop. You women that say, oh, remember when I was 30 and I could lose weight so easy by just skipping a couple meals? You had more lean body tissue. You had more muscle. You may have been more active at that point. So that made that lean body tissue even more metabolically desirable and active. Right. And the third thing is we want moderate attention to aerobic exercise. Okay? Now, I have not been a big advocate of a lot of different group exercise programs. We've tried a lot. We've moved through them, and we enjoy having them. But the thing about it is I look at a society where time is so efficient. So what have we done? We've taken that requirement for 30 to 40 to 50 minutes of cardiovascular exercise 4 to 6 times a week, and we've put it into a very efficient system of training on the SciFit machines called burst training. Now, you can do the burst training on treadmills or Stairmasters or bikes or whatever you ride at your fitness center, but these machines, the SciFit, make it very efficient from the standpoint of high caloric yield and high caloric burn, as well as changing the physiology of the body. Remember, the business of bodies, although you think the business of bodies is that aesthetics about how you look and what you can wear, to me, the body's business is about reversing chronic disease and chronic disease conditions. Your diabetes, your arthritis, your asthma, your allergies, your all those things, your heart disease, all those types of things are chronic diseases that we can reverse by those 3 little pillars we just talked about. Let's eat better. Let's strength train to control the lean body tissue, and then let's take moderate attention to our cardiovascular fitness, our aerobic fitness. That's what we work from that standpoint on. Now, back to the history of bodies. So in 1987, I started in 1978 building Omega 40 with my brother, and in 1979, I actually began to work there. I ran basically racquetball programming. Mm-hmm. Then in about 1982 or 83, I really got switched on to the knowledge opportunity, the knowledge potential for building a club. We knew about knowledge because I really became converted to knowledge training philosophy in about 1979. And so I really became a big believer in it. And once I became a believer in it, then we began to apply it, those principles, to the membership. And we saw growth in people who were working out by these principles and getting results. From that, I started the Nautilus Diet Program. Okay? When we started the Nautilus Diet Program, we then went down this road of discovery about getting people on weight loss programs. In 1979, people, you could hand them a book and say, eat this, eat it at this time, shop like this, and here's the program. We put it in a book. You remember the very first, you did.
I had the book.
The Nautilus Diet said, here's what to eat, here's how to eat, how to prepare it, and here's your shopping list.
Right.
People did it. But from 1979, culture changed. Mm-hmm. 1987, when we did the program, culture changed. It was a great program. But after that 10 weeks, about 6 months later, when they weren't eating like that anymore, they began to lose the drive and the results that they got. So that catapulted us into a personal training type of business. And we then developed a program called Healthy Inspirations, mm-hmm. which was very successful. Mm-hmm. And that was the outcome of a lot of experimentation, a lot of research with different people around the country who are in the industry. And so we started that program. And even in that program, as successful as it was, we learned something. And one of the people I learned with is a young lady that's joining us on the phone now. And welcome, Dawn. How are you today?
I'm doing good. It's probably a little colder up here. We just got snow.
Oh, my goodness. Well, listen,
yeah.
It's no snow here. So,
I know. I got to get down there.
70 degrees. Tomorrow we could hit 82 here at Tasso.
Oh, my
Donna, we heard
all
you
right,
feeling...
enough of that. I'm getting depressed.
Hey, listen, and you look like you're ready for bathing suit weather because, I was showing Karen at the front desk this morning. I was showing her your YouTube clips around your new book. And as I was doing that, I was telling her, I said, doesn't she look in great shape? I mean, do you remember her from? She goes, oh yeah, I remember her from Healthy Inspiration. So first of all, let's talk about a little bit about how we met, and I'm going to identify some problems which I think are universal because you really were one of the people that were pioneering this aspect of the Healthy Inspirations program back then, and we met because you were in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and you ran a program you ran a Healthy Inspirations program. And,
Correct.
and you found out what we found out as operators down here was that as our women hit that perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal time, they began to have challenges with their weight loss. And even when they ate good a lot of times. And from my standpoint, I was the guy, the girls would come to me and they would say, well, this is what we're seeing. And I go, listen, they're just not, they're lying, which they do. People lie in their journals, let's face it. I've moved away from journaling, although I realize the people with journal are very successful. I've moved away from it a little bit, Dawn, because it doesn't do any good to have a system that is not punitive, but makes you feel guilty. Like if you show me your journal, and it looks perfect, well, I don't know what you're doing. Or if you show me a journal that's not perfect, and I say, well, you could have done this better, I haven't created victories for that person. So the theme I've really picked up on, which is something I took away from Healthy Inspirations experience, was we want to create victories for people, and we want the changes to occur each week to get a little bit better, okay? So then that was the first step for me. Then the second part was, as the girls were telling me about the people who are having trouble, I said, well, they need to take supplements. They need to do this. They need to do that. And the reality of it was, quite frankly, is a lot of those women were doing the right thing, and this menopause deal was really taking over their lives. And so the first thing I really learned was that what we needed to do was we needed to find a solution. Enter Dawn from Lancaster, PA. Dawn, you came in with a guy named Joe and had hormone replacement or hormone cream. Let me let you tell about your discovery, because this was one of the big challenges to that group that was going through this phase of life.
Yeah, and really, it was more, I was experiencing it too. I'd been in the health field at that point. Now it's been 25 years, so I guess at that point it had been 15 years or whatever. I had been eating good, exercise, detoxifying, meditating. I was doing everything. And I was even in my 30s at that point. So I wasn't really near menopause yet, and I was having a struggle. I kind of struggled my whole life. I had to really keep on top of my weight. But so I kind of feel like I'm the wounded healer in the sense that I figured this out mostly for me and then said, look, there's tons of women clients that are having the same issue. So it really, really hit the fan when I saw the women coming in for Healthy Inspirations, and I'm looking at their journals. They seem to be dedicated. They're exercising. I'm seeing them do it, and they're not losing the weight. And me and my staff are kind of like feel a little stupid because we don't know what to say. Like, why are they not losing weight? So that's when I started to get into hormones a little more. I met Dr. Joe Baldanza, and he had written an article for Alternative Medicine magazine all about hormones. We had hooked up from there. He flew out, spoke, and then he started working in my center. We experimented a while. We had women use some natural hormone balancing creams along with what they were doing, okay? We don't want to get rid of the diet and exercise. That's the foundation. But we tweaked it, and we'll get into the hormone imbalance in a minute, but we balanced them out. Then they started losing better. And that's when I went to the owner of the facility. That's when we went to Casey Conrad, the owner of Healthy Inspirations, and she said, yeah, let's talk about this. Let's get this hormone balancing aspect into weight loss, because really, when you think of all the major, Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and all the major ones out there, no one's really doing anything with hormones and weight. I mean, even Joe said that. He was from California. He's like, Dawn, if you get into hormones and weight, he goes, nobody's really doing that.
Well, to this day, Dawn, no one's really doing it, to be honest with you. I mean, they talk about it, but still their game plan is usually largely a deprivation program, which wastes away lean body tissue and fat body tissue. And most programs that we see out there as commercial programs, it's a calorie in, calorie out. And really, we're starting to develop a philosophy around showing that there really is a calorie myth in many ways to being the only key to weight loss. And I want to just add that the one thing that I don't want to get away from that you're alluding to, and I know you're going to hit on these points, is this hormone imbalance that these women were seeing in Healthy Inspirations. It was affecting them both physiologically, but psychologically, because it slowed their weight loss. It gave them a poor mood kind of thing because they weren't being successful. They weren't creating victories. It lowered their energy, and it decreased their motivation or willpower. And that's why it was so important. I'm sorry to jump in, but I wanted to make those points to people because I think that women, especially women and men, this is a problem for men as well. But women who are out there listening, there's going to be some answers, and I should probably, before I shut my mouth because I know you're as bad as I am when you start talking, you're just going to run away from it here. But you've carried this to the whole thing of, you wrote a new book called The Hormone Shift, which I think it came out about a year ago. And,
Correct.
and you've been on an awful, people can look on YouTube and put your name in, Don Cotillo, and it'll come up with this flurry of the doctors and the other shows that you've been on. So, I probably should have started out telling people like that about your credentials and stuff like that. So we probably should back up and tell them a little bit like that stuff.
You want me
too.
to run the show open again?
Yeah, maybe we should.
Start from
Yeah,
the top?
yeah, we probably should. So I'm just excited, Don.
Well, it is exciting because women, I thought I was the only one. Then I'm seeing all these other women, and now that I've been on these shows, I get calls and emails from all over the country, and some of the women, they're so upset. They're sad. Some of them come to my office and cry because they've been to the doctors. They've been to their, anybody, their psychologists, their psychiatrists. They've been everywhere. They've been to endocrinologists, and they're not getting the answers that they need. And they're saying, am I going crazy? What's wrong with me? I'm eating good. I got my thyroid checked, and it's fine. So what is wrong with me? And the doctor, well, you just got to, eat less and exercise more. So that's the thing. Regular medical doctors, and no cut on them. We need them. They do other wonderful things. I can't operate on you, right? So I'm not saying I'm doing everything. They're there for if you have an acute injury, if you have an acute disease. But when it comes to long-term chronic problems, we know that the medical community isn't the answer for cholesterol, for blood pressure, blood sugar. We need to work lifestyle. When it comes to hormones, it's the same thing. Your family doctor just does not study that in school. He might get an hour of that, just like he doesn't study nutrition. You don't go to him to plan your diet. Endocrinologists, you say, well, surely they know. They're endocrine specialists. No, they study the thyroid, and they'll give you Synthroid if your thyroid is clinically off. Most women fall subclinical. They don't quite make the numbers, so the doctor's like, you're not bad enough to need medicine. They study that, and they study insulin. Insulin for diabetes. And then if you have diabetics and people that have thyroid problems, that's what they study. So then you say, maybe my OBGYN, I'll go to her or him. They'll know. They don't really know either. If you have these types of problems with your mood, your sleep, and your weight, they'll mainly try the birth control pill, or some of them may try hormone replacement therapy, which we can talk about the difference between what we're doing, natural, and hormone replacement therapy, because there's some problems with that. But they basically study, childbirth and problems with the female system, such as, fibroids, cysts, endometriosis. But they're studying diseases of that. They're not studying the normal healthy flow. How can we get a woman to sleep her best, be in her best mood, and lose weight? That's not what they're doing. So if you check out all those doctors and they're not giving you answers, you have no recourse, and then you go to the health club, and that's where the smarter health clubs are saying, let's get into some of this stuff because it is a problem, and that's the direction we want to go.
And we should back up a minute, because you said something that was really was a projection of the future. I sort of framed this conversation that it's going to affect women who are in their perimenopause, postmenopause, and menopausal time. But you made a statement. You said, I was experiencing this at 30. And I would venture to say that in today's society, because of stress, because of inactivity, because of emotional eating, because of all these things going on, that stress and that lifestyle, there are more women in their 30s experiencing weight loss resistance because of everything that's going on, poor quality of food, too many different things around the exercise world that are just sort of gimmicks kind of deal that people get into. And so you were unique back 20 years ago that you saw it at 30 years of age, but I guarantee you there are more women seeing it now. And which I'm going to be speaking on January the 18th at the News Journal's Wellness Fair at the Volusia Mall. And I don't know what time I'll speak, but my conversation starts out with this because of stress and everything, is that inflammation is the root cause of all disease. The second premise of my presentation that day is going to be that stress is the root cause of all chronic inflammation.
Correct.
And then
Correct.
We have to understand, the third part of my presentation is going to be understanding the relationship between the brain and all the glands that work with the brain for hormone balance, the gut, and how we manifest so much of what goes on in our body, and our immune system, and how balancing that triangle with exercise is so important to the response of stress. Because I think between poor quality food, high stress, we're seeing more and more women and men, more so women, I think, see these conditions like we're talking about from a standpoint. Everybody's having, what I've learned is if you have energy swings or if you have emotional swings during the day, you're probably dealing with some level of hormone imbalance. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree. And I would also say, I'm saying in the 30s, but I'm also seeing girls anywhere from having their periods, 14, 15. There's a condition called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. There's an insulin resistance there and a hormone imbalance, and it affects young girls. The reason it's not talked about more is because they just throw the girls on the birth control pill. But there's tons of girls, even young girls. Now women bring their girls in once I treat the women that have this, and they cannot lose weight, and they're young, and they get this belly fat right around the middle, and they're only 15, 16. So I got two 14-year-olds right now I'm working with. So it's becoming an epidemic. It's an insulin resistance, and it's called PCOS, and there's girls that have degrees of that. So I almost believe because our stress is getting worse, our toxins are getting worse, everything's getting worse in our society, it's affecting younger and younger girls. From the minute they have their period, they're eligible for a hormone imbalance, and most of them do. If you have PMS, most girls, you have a hormone imbalance. So I just wanted to add that. And now we can get into a little bit, if you're ready for me to, I can get into a little bit, make it real simple of what this hormone imbalance is.
Well, once in a while, I want to be consistent with my message also to people about stress, because we have a relationship with Dr. Lorenzo Fond. I think he's an acupuncturist. I think one of the greatest things he does, Dawn, is his stress reduction program that he does from the standpoint of his treatment. But people have to understand the effects of stress. The chronic stress causes our bodies to produce cortisol to buffer it from the damage stress can cause. That's a protective thing that our body has. And you're going to get into talking about the hormones in a minute. Well, this causes an increase in their blood sugar and their insulin from the pancreas as well. So now couple that with people having more type 2 diabetes than we've ever seen. And when insulin is raised into the bloodstream, our natural fat-burning hormones decrease, our leptin, our ghrelin, and those hormones that also have a lot to do with brain function. So when you say, man, I have a foggy brain, it is a real case coming from the stress and from everything that's going on from that standpoint. So I want that to be understood, because you're going to talk about 3 hormones, and let me sort of set the stage. There's 3 hormones that affect weight loss for women. There's progesterone, which is a fat-burning and natural diuretic, okay? There's estrogen, which causes the body to hold and retain fluids. But you're going to go over some of these beautiful things, like when I was showing Karen that thing, I said, you were saying all the benefits of having estrogen. I looked at her and said, really? She says, yeah. And then the third one is cortisol. And cortisol is produced when you're under stress or chronic stress, and it's needed by the body to buffer stress. And it affects men as well. These men we see with these big pop bellies these days, it's coming from this. It's coming from the poor quality of food in that, and the receptor sites, as I've talked on the show, the receptor sites of the cell being affected. So now I'm going to turn it over to you to work into this balance.
Okay. So I'm going to focus on women, and then I'll kind of touch on men and give a couple sentences for them afterwards, because they have imbalances, but they're not quite as complicated because women have, obviously the different types of sex hormones. But basically, like you said, cortisol, we don't want to say it's a bad guy, because if you didn't have it, you're going to, it won't buffer you from stress, you could die. So we need cortisol. It's the chronic production of cortisol. Years ago, 100 years ago, you might produce cortisol when you saw a lion or a bear, and that it was supposed to be a very episodic type thing. Once in a while, you fight off lion and bear, you go down in cortisol. Now, women, especially women, because women are multitaskers. They come home from work maybe, and then they have the laundry, and they have the kids, and men are a little bit better at compartmentalizing. They can kind of watch TV and maybe drink a beer at the end of the day and relax, which is actually a little bit, except for the beer, it's a little bit healthier for you to relax. But women will come home, they'll work, and their minds go constantly. So they're producing constant cortisol. This constant cortisol, the body can't keep up with. It cannot make it that fast.
That's right.
So what it does, very, very, very simply, and if you get this, you'll get more than what most doctors know about hormones. It will take a woman's progesterone, which is that good hormone that you just talked about, the hormone that helps you sleep. It helps you be in a good mood. It helps you burn fat. It helps you get rid of fluid. It controls your cravings. And it actually decreases your chance of female cancers. We actually did a study on that. So it takes your progesterone, and it converts it over into cortisol, just so the body doesn't run out of cortisol, obviously, or you would die. So if it does that constantly every day, it leaves you low in this good hormone, this fat-burning, this calming hormone. Now, what does that do? That lowers that, but then it leaves you, the woman, dominant in estrogen. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, estrogen is good for some things, and we'll talk about that. I mean, it's needed by the body. but it was meant to be kept in balance by progesterone. So when estrogen is dominant, estrogen is the one that holds on to fluid, puts on fat, makes you hyper, makes you irritable. It suppresses your thyroid. It makes you have strong cravings. It increases your appetite, and it does increase your chances of fibroid cysts and female-related cancers. It's been proven to do that. So you have that imbalance there. So the way I like to describe it, okay, is that estrogen's like a teenager, right? We don't want to kill all the teenagers in the world. I mean, sometimes we do. They cause a lot of problems, but they're not bad people. But when the parent is not around, that's when the teenager causes problems. The parent is progesterone. If progesterone is there with estrogen, the parent is there with the teenager, it keeps the teenager under wraps, and the teenager is a good person. But when the parent's gone, that's when it causes problems. So I don't want to make this statement that estrogen's terrible, get rid of it all. That's what the medical community does. If a woman has cancer, they want to get rid of all of her estrogen. So I want to say a couple good things that estrogen does now, just so that we don't give it a bad name. Estrogen will give you your libido. It gives you your energy. That's important. It will thicken the skin, the hair. It helps with the vaginal walls. It helps with the keep of lubrication. So eventually when a woman gets older down the road, her estrogen can fall, and she'll experience those symptoms. And we don't want that either. But when estrogen is dominant and progesterone is deficient, you have that estrogen dominant, and you will not be able to lose weight. You'll probably have subclinical issues with your thyroid. You don't sleep as well. You have mood problems. You have cravings, and it becomes an epidemic. And then you get into this spiraling circle down, and you just can't get away from it. So does that kind of help? Was that a good explanation of what you wanted? I can go into detail more, but
I think so. And I want to just remind people that we're talking to Dawn Cotillo, and she is the author of the book The Hormone Shift, which takes a unique look at the role of hormones in relation to women's mood, weight, and overall health. And so we're starting to talk about that. And I want to open the phone. 239-0033 is the number, Dawn, if women want to call in, who are, and some of the examples of things we plan to talk about today in the 20 or so minutes we have left, is I really want to venture into talking about the HCG diets that we see so many people going, because although I'm not a big fan of the low-calorie deprivation, this is something that a lot of women are doing, and I think they need to be educated to what happens when you come off of this program and then beginning to create a lifestyle, because you can't be on it your whole life,
Correct.
And so I think that's something that if people have questions on, to call in. I think if they're having issues with they've tried creams or they've tried the different things for it, you're more than welcome to call us. And you may actually find there's a little bit of a discrepancy between what Dawn and I believe, because the bottom line is that when I look at the eating programs, I understand there is a need for the low-calorie diets. That's why we have our Take Shape for Life. That's why we've looked at the HCG opportunity in the past. I really send people for HCG that want to do that. I send them to a different vendor, because that's what they're used to working with. I send people to do what other people are experts at. So we send people to them and let them take care of that. We take care of the exercise, and we understand their protocol, so then we can work with the exercise part of it. But you and I talked last night, and I told you I'm not a big fan of it. But you really have, because HCG is now, as I understand it, outlawed by the Federal Drug Administration. It really has put up an opportunity for you, because you've come around with an eating program that has less deprivation to it, and a little more leniency in what you have to eat. So 239-0033, if you want to call and talk about hormone problems, hormone imbalance, weight loss resistance, you may get some interesting perspectives, because like you and I were talking last night about the stress and the poor quality of food. Because let's go back to it. The pillar that you and I talked, the three pillars you and I talked about last night, that is a staple of all our programs, is number one, good nutrition. You have to eat good food, and you have to have good eating habits. Attention to building lean body tissue so you sustain a metabolically active body. And then attention to aerobic exercise is very, very important. And one of my clients I'm working with right now, she's on the HCG, and it seems that the day we've cut down her workout, because her calories are down in the 800 calorie range. We've cut down her workout frequency to a lower load. She only works out 2 days a week when she was used to working out 3 days a week. We've cut her number of machines down, but she still sees that on the day that she works out, her weight loss sort of plateaus. But the next day, she loses 2 pounds, kind of thing. So, and you've mentioned this to me. If women aren't losing weight when they first start out a program, they're not going to stick with it, because they need that emotional lift. Talk about that psychology of the weight loss for a woman first.
Well, I mean, women are so busy. They are very dedicated. Sometimes women can even be more, I shouldn't say more motivated than men, but cosmetically, women want to look good. You know, sometimes men look in the mirror and they think they look better than they do. So they're like, hey, I look fine. Women are just super picky, which we shouldn't be, but it's because of the media and all that. So women are usually very, very motivated to look and feel their best. But what happens is if they start something, they try it several times, and they'll tweak it, and they'll ask for advice, and they'll go to doctors. If they're not getting results, it just makes sense that they're like, they just give up. They just say, I don't even want to exercise anymore. And that's why I don't want to lose people from even going to the gym and doing healthy stuff because they can't cosmetically look better. Granted, it's still healthy to exercise even if you're not losing weight, but they'll fall off the whole thing because most people don't love exercise to death. They're not in it like me and you, Tess. So they're in it. Yeah, I want to, exercise to lose weight. So if they don't lose the weight, eventually they can fall off. And that's what we want to say. I want to say to them, look, you're not going crazy. There is actually a physiological imbalance. But usually when there's that imbalance, they have lower motivation. They're more irritable. They could be depressed. They have other things going on that makes it even harder for them. So when they don't see results, they're even like, forget it. And that's what starts to happen. And that's why I don't want to lose these women. I want to give them some sort of hope to say if we can balance your hormones, lower your stress, you're going to see the results, and then you're going to keep on with the healthy style. Then you'll be excited to exercise. I mean, I'm excited to exercise every day because I feel good. I have energy. You can probably tell that. But anyway,
no.
So you're right. We'll lose them.
So, all right, and so, again, I guess I better do this too. Where do they get your book?
Actually, the easiest thing is just the Hormone Shift. It's just a website. They can just go to Hormone Shift. They can read a little bit about generic hormone balancing information, and then there's a link there that can send them right on through to my book. It's just the easiest way because then they can read more information. I mean, we're on Amazon, we're on Barnes & Noble, but this link will take them right there. And the website has a little bit more information about hormone balancing in general, lists some symptoms and things like that. So just www.thehormoneshift.com. So that's probably the easiest. It has my bio, my background, the years I've been 25 years in the field, and all that kind of stuff. So that'll give them a little bit, overall.
So, Dawn, tell me something. I think I'm picking up, and this runs consistent to a lot of what my discoveries have been in the functional medicine field to this point, is we rarely really see, we talk about people's estrogen for women is really out of whack. And it's not that they're producing. In men, we have a problem that there's so much estrogen in the background noise of everything that's going on with microwaving and food and plastics that we actually see a decrease in active testosterone for men. In fact, the decrease is, I'm reading numbers like compared to a guy in the 70s that's 50 years old, the 50-year-old of today is 800% lower in active testosterone, which affects us. And again, the belly fat comes in, the cortisol expresses itself. We're not as aggressive or focused in what we do. But on the women's side, what I think I hear you saying a lot is this, is a lot of times women aren't producing a lot more estrogen. It's that balance is thrown off because under chronic stress, they produce so much cortisol that the cortisol level comes up, and then the cortisol demand continues because of chronic stress. So it takes and decreases. It takes that progesterone, converts it. So now this estrogen progesterone balance is so off that we perceive that our estrogen levels are out of whack. Is that an accurate explanation?
That is correct. Women also get some of those xenoestrogens like you talk about from plastics. We get some of them in too, and that doesn't help. But yes, it's just the imbalance. So it's very, very, very rare for a woman to ever need estrogen up until her 80s. If you lower the cortisol, okay, and you do that by lowering stress and changing your eating, okay, and obviously exercise. If you do that and then you raise the progesterone with maybe a natural hormone balancing cream, something that we use, and we've done that in the past with you guys, and then you balance it to, even if your estrogen was getting low, let's say you are 60, and you are starting to get low libido, vaginal dryness, thinning bones, thinning hair, and you say, wow, my estrogen and my progesterone now are a little bit low. You're still dominant in estrogen, but you're getting lower in it. Once you fix the adrenal gland and the cortisol and you fix the progesterone levels, your body, the woman's body, will start to produce a postmenopausal estrogen on its own, the safest way to do it, naturally from the skin and the fat. You do, even when the ovaries are gone. So that's the beauty of it. That's why I call us natural hormone balancing, and that's what I know you're more into. We don't want to get into hormone replacement. We don't want to shove in estrogen, testosterone, because if we do that, then that could cause problems. Those hormones are a little more risky. What if we give too much? So the difference between us is different than the bioidentical, and I did want to mention that.
Yeah, and I want to get into it, but I don't want to leave a point before we go, because I want to talk about healthy lifestyle, and we'll come back to because I want to. There's 3 or 4 things I see in hormone replacement and stuff, and I want to come back to that. Hormone treatments, I should say.
Okay.
But there's a very slim point you just ran by that people would have missed if they weren't listening, and that was, you said that they produce a postmenopausal estrogen that comes from their skin and from the fats in their food, the healthy fats. And I want to emphasize that I think one of the biggest trends that we've done in this society is to create these zero fat foods that we've created, where we take the good healthy fat out. And now what we do is we have a society that takes the healthy fat out of yogurt, for instance, and tells you you have to go buy fats, essential fatty acids at the store, to take in a pill form. When if you eat good natural foods, you eat the good, rich, full yogurts, you're getting those fats to run all the hormonal actions of the body. And I don't want to leave that point, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit about the hormone therapy treatments that I have seen and heard about, and let you sort of go down and talk about a little bit. But address that for a moment. How do you look at that? Because I know you're into that as well.
Oh, yeah. Fat is not really going to cause you to gain weight. You actually have to have an insulin response for your fat cells to open up. So now we'll give an extreme example. If you're an Eskimo eating fat blubber all day long or meat all day long, you would never gain weight. You have to have sugar or some sort of carbohydrates for your fat cells to open. So I want to make that clear. That's why it's always clear to say if you have a weight problem, you probably have a hormone imbalance, because people forget that insulin is a hormone. And you just said it, when your cortisol goes up, your blood sugar goes up and your insulin goes up. So yes, fat is not going to be a problem. Now, when you combine high fat with high sugar, like a donut, right? A donut's high fat and high sugar. You're going to gain weight because of that, because of sugar. But just healthy fats, I totally agree with you that fats are not bad. I tell people to eat full-fat products, because when they take the fat out, they add more sugar, they add aspartame, they add other stabilizers, they add more chemicals, and they're just not whole foods. And you're more about whole foods, and so am I. So I totally agree with that.
Okay, so now let's go to current hormone solutions. Hormone replacement therapy.
Right. So basically, there's one classification called synthetic HRT, and we don't even want to really talk about that. I just want to mention it. If you go to the doctor and you're complaining about hot flashes, or you're complaining about vaginal dryness or low libido, he might suggest using an estrogen patch or Prempro or something like that. It's synthetic. You don't want to go there. The Women's 2002 Initiative study proved that it's cancer-causing. So not too many doctors promote it anymore. So we don't even want to talk about that except to say that it exists. Your medical doctor might throw that at you. But then Suzanne Summers, who I really like because she's very into nutrition and very into educated women, she represents, I use her as the representation model of bioidentical hormone therapy, okay? Now, with bioidentical hormone therapy, it's a little different than what we do. They test your saliva, which is great because saliva is the best way to test hormones. And then they say, oh, you're low in progesterone, which most women are. Oh, and you're getting a little older. You're low in estrogen and testosterone. And what they do is they replace those 3 hormones, okay? The progesterone, which you need, gets converted right away to make cortisol, so it basically disappears. And then they give you more estrogen and testosterone, and it spikes those up. Now, what happens is, for these women, because they come to me, I have a couple every week that come to me, their symptoms of low estrogen go away, like their hot flashes go away, their vaginal dryness, their libido comes back. But they said, now I'm gaining more weight, I'm more irritable, I can't sleep, and of course their chance of cancer goes up. So that is not a solution. What we do over here, all the way to the right here, is natural hormone balancing. So what we do is we work with the lifestyle changes. We work with lowering the cortisol, giving a supplement for the adrenal gland, which we'll talk about. It could either be a cream, it could be a supplement, doing something to support the adrenal gland in its cortisol production, get that under control, and then we gently raise the progesterone level, because you can only do that when you get the cortisol and the adrenal gland under control. Then the progesterone level rises to normal. They feel, oh, my goodness, I feel calmer now. I'm sleeping better. I'm starting to burn fat better. I want to go to the gym. That happens. And then if the woman is old enough that her estrogen's lower, let's say she's in her 50s, 20 and 30 and 40-year-olds don't need that, but she's in her late 40s, early 50s, then her body, from the fat cells and the skin cells, even part of the brain, can make an estrogen that it wants to make up into your 80s. It'll make it on its own without you ever taking estrogen. So we take the approach of Don't shove in these other hormones. Let the body do it. The body has an innate knowledge and wisdom that knows more than you, me, and your doctor. So let the body do it, but let's just support the body. Let's lower the cortisol. Let's do lifestyle changes, and then let's raise the progesterone. So what we've done historically and what we've worked with you on is we just have 2 natural hormone balancing creams. We just do a gentle progesterone cream that raises progesterone and closes that gap and gets your body to produce estrogen if it needs it. The body knows that. But then we do something for the adrenal gland. People can take either herbs like maca or ginseng or something like that. We use a cream because it goes in directly to the bloodstream. It bypasses digestion. That supports the adrenal gland in its cortisol production. But you have to have that 1-2 punch. You have to work with the adrenals and cortisol, and then you have to work with progesterone, and that's all the further you need to go. You don't have to go the step of giving testosterone and estrogen. Actually, testosterone is not even proven to be linked to sex drive at all. If women are worried about libido, once you get estrogen and progesterone balanced, your libido comes back, and I've worked with thousands of women. And now people say, well, Dawn, why do you do lab testing before and after? We don't even need to. That's how we can do these radio shows. We can do stuff on TV, because with what we do, and even with what you do, we're not giving medication, so we don't have to test levels. We do everything symptom-based. If you come to me and you can't lose weight and you have PMS, you have menopausal symptoms, you have headaches, you have all that kind of stuff, if you basically have all that going on, you have a progesterone deficiency. We don't have to analyze it anymore. So if that's the case, that's where we say, okay, you have low progesterone. We need to raise it. We need to work with your cortisol. If you don't have that, then you probably won't even be talking to your doctor or to us or to your health club, with any of those types of things. So that's why we do it. And then anything that we use, whether it's homeopathic or our creams, even if the woman uses too much, its excess is urinated out. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it doesn't build up in the system.
It's like water-soluble
It's
vitamins.
fat-soluble vitamins. I tell people to think of it as vitamin B and C. If you take too much, you'll just urinate it out. Yeah. And that's why we don't need to use testing. So we look at your symptoms before, your symptoms go away afterwards. Everything we're using is safe and natural. We don't need to do pre- and post-testing. And it's a lot less expensive that way.
Dawn, we have about 4 minutes left in the show, so we're bound to get a phone call now at 239-0033, but we're speaking with Dawn Cotillo, who has released the book, The Hormone Shift, in 2012, I believe is when it came out. And it takes a unique look at hormones and the relationship to women's mood, their weight loss, and then the overall health that they have. So, and you can go to thehormoneshift.com to get a copy of the book. Dawn, I want to do a little promoting for Bodez before we get up against the end of the show and remind you that we have a $14 promotional program starting today. That is $14, gets you enrolled, pays your first month's dues. You'll pay your $20 card fee, and you'll be enrolled in our Body Coach membership. You select your membership type after you get going, because there are 3 membership types. The $14 promotion applies only to our Bodez Express and Body Coach membership, which is the supervised program that we run with our knowledge training principles with all the bonuses that we have in it. It's a great program. It's our most popular membership, and it's a $199 value is the usual enrollment. So it's $14 from now to February 14th. Let's get you involved and have a great time. Now, Dawn, you and I spoke last night, and actually we're going to try, you're going to use me as a guinea pig for the men's program and send me some stuff next week that I'm going to get literature-wise in that. And then I want to sort of put out a teaser that you and I are going to continue our conversation, and hopefully around that February 14th or end of February, we will be ready by bathing suit season to have introduced a program that will really help these women that are going through these symptoms to get into that mode of getting that weight off, looking great in their swimsuits, and being successful. Because we know 92% of people that set a New Year's resolution are going to fail at it, is what statistics tell us, not to be a doomsayer. But we always have to come back and understand that the lifestyle of good health is a lifestyle that you build a little bit at a time. And it's not based on a resolution. It's based on milestones that you set through your year of things you want to accomplish. And that's what we're going to work on. And we're going to stay away from the hype of this being a hyped program, because there's so much between you and I. There's going to be so much science that we put into this. It's really going to make people feel and look 10 years younger and just get it in the right direction. And I'm excited about that. But I wanted to put that little teaser out. So I'm looking forward to my care package next week and my assignments of things I'm supposed to do and seeing where we take this. And looking forward to hopefully having you down here in Florida for a nice presentation.
Yes, well, I look forward to that. Thank you so much for having me, and hopefully we cleared the air a little bit and helped women feel a little bit better.
Well, I'm sorry we didn't get more questions today. I think people would have benefited. I guess it's because both of our energies are so far up there. And, I was excited because last night, thinking about the things we talked about potential to help with this. Because when I look at the weight loss resistance issue that we learned about in Healthy Inspirations, we had a great program in Healthy Inspirations. And you might say it was the perfect program the way it was designed. But how can the perfect program fail to about 20% of the women that we saw? And then as the population aged that we saw it fail at a higher ratio. And so we now understand this. We understand this weight loss resistance. We understand this hormone imbalance. And if you want to get an overview at it, go to thehormoneshift.com and get Dawn's book, and then look for the future of what we're going to introduce around March as a program that I think is going to be a revolutionary program to people.
All right. Thanks for having me, Tessa. I'm excited, too. So
All right.
We'll look forward to that.
Thanks, Dawn. I appreciate it. So, all right, we got 30 seconds. What could be better than to say $14 starts your membership and your great new lifestyle to get the lead out. Some great changes coming to Bodez in this year. 672-6464. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your families. God bless. And look out. Chase Elliott's coming to town for his nationwide ride. We start training him again tonight.
AM 1150 WNDB, Daytona Beach, Daytona's morning news station. Locally owned and operated by Southern Stone Communications.